She left me because I was poor, but years later, life had other plans. Ethan was a simple man, kind, honest, and hardworking. He lived in a small apartment, worked long hours at a local cafe, and dreamed of one day building his own business. Despite his struggles, he was always smiling, because to him, love mattered more than money. He had been dating Sophie for 2 years, a beautiful, ambitious girl from a middle-class family. Ethan loved her deeply. He believed she was the one, but Sophie, though she cared for him, often worried about their future. Rising emotion 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock one evening, as they sat in the park under the city lights, Sophie sighed. "Ethan, love doesn't pay bills," she said quietly. Ethan looked at her confused. "I know, but I'm working hard. Someday things will change." She shook her head. "I don't want someday, I want stability now." A few weeks later, Sophie ended things. She said she couldn't live a life full of uncertainty. Ethan tried to stop her, but she walked away, leaving behind a man who had given her everything except wealth. The struggle, 8 o'clock to 15 o'clock, years passed. Ethan faced heartbreak, but refused to give up. He worked harder than ever, learning new skills, taking risks, and slowly building his dream. He started a small coffee business, one that focused on fair trade beans and honest values. It wasn't easy, but little by little, his cafe chain began to grow. People loved his sincerity, his warmth, and the story behind his coffee. Soon, Ethan became one of the most respected entrepreneurs in the city. But success couldn't fill the void in his heart. He still remembered Sophie, her laughter, her smile, and the day she left. One rainy afternoon, Ethan was sitting in his office when his assistant walked in. "Sir, there's a woman outside asking for a job interview. She doesn't have an appointment, but she said she really needs work." Ethan sighed. "All right, send her in." When the door opened, his heart stopped. It was Sophie. Her eyes widened the moment she saw him, older, confident, and successful. She looked nervous, holding a worn-out folder. "Ethan, I didn't know this was your company," she whispered. There was silence. Then Ethan smiled faintly. "Life has a strange way of bringing people back, doesn't it?" She looked down, tears forming in her eyes. "I made a mistake, Ethan. I thought money was everything, but I was wrong." He paused, then replied gently, "We all make mistakes, Sophie, but some choices can't be undone." He offered her a cup of coffee, the same way he used 2 years ago, and said, "Don't worry, you'll get the job. Not because you're Sophie, but because everyone deserves a second chance." Ending and lesson to 25 minutes and 0 seconds to 30 minutes and 0 seconds months later, Sophie worked as part of his marketing team. They were no longer lovers, but they had found peace. One evening, as Ethan closed his cafe, he looked out at the city lights and smiled. Life had tested him, broken him, and rebuilt him. He whispered to himself, "She left me because I was poor." But life had other plans. Moral of the story: Never underestimate the power of time. What's meant for you will find you. Maybe not today, but when you've grown enough to handle it.